Ryland Moranz is a Lethbridge, Alberta-based songwriter steeped in the history of folk tradition. He comes by it honestly, as his mother was a founding member of the Lethbridge Folk Club, which recently celebrated 45 years as a music incubator. Ryland's nuclear family is also responsible for Fort Macleod's long-running eclectic music festival, the South Country Fair, a festival that truly catches newcomers off guard with its worldly acts and timeless hippie leanings. The comment I most often hear from newcomers is that they can't believe that something like this happens in southern Alberta, of all places. While Ryland received a front row education through the Family Folk Fest, he chose to initiate himself by playing in a punk rock band for a decade, before returning to form and pursuing successful careers as both a sideman to artists like Lyra Stagger and branching out with his solo project. His previous album, XO 1945, makes deep historic observations and marries them with personal anecdotes and literary references, creating contemporary flair in a familiar folk styling. The album was nominated in the Canadian Folk Music Association Contemporary Album of the Year category. Ryland's star has continued to rise during uncertain times, which he approaches with the mix of honest enthusiasm and vulnerability. With a new album in tow and an Australia-New Zealand tour just behind him, we join him at the Geomattic Attic in Lethbridge for a chat and a rare full band performance with his darkest secrets.
All right, feeling good?
For mine to waste a lifetime with the blinds all open and neighbors waving in the blue jays ready to hatch. But when the clouds pile up and the church bells ring and the moss laying down in the grass, you can't clean up or down in the hell of this town. Down in the hell of this town. Remember when this whole place was tired of sunshine? And there was no rain for 18 dust spilled into the cracks. And when the storms all came, we stood outside and man, we felt alive. Alive and well, enjoying the hell of this town. Sonny's bar. I drank to your health like somebody else was paying the tab, until the clock rolled over and the lights came on and the band spilled into the cab, and I was left alone to face the nighttime. When the sun comes up, I'm gonna make you mine and show you off around to the folks in this town. Well, I will show you off around to the folks in this town.
My name is Tanner. I am usually behind the cameras for the Weird in High School video podcasts, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I'll be filling in for the interview portion and playing double duty for regular host Bretton Lee John. Bretton will be back next episode for our regular scheduled programming. Until then, as the old cliche goes, the show must go on.
That's where I want to go. And the thieves are going to banjo music. Music at the track.
So I'm here with Ryland Moranz, and I am filling in for Bretton Lee John on the Weird in High School podcast. Hey Paul, how you doing?
Not so bad. You?
Not bad?
Oh, the famous left-handed.
Oh, I had you. Oh, is that bad luck?
No. Or if it is, it's good. I'm a fan of it. I'm into it. Yeah.
Where's that? Oh, right here.
I kind of like what's weirder in high school than just
It's
living
true.
the life.
Yeah. So I'm here with Ryland Moranz, and we are celebrating an album release. Tell us about what's shaking tonight and down at the Geomattic Attic.
Tonight, I've got a full band show with my buds. The Darkest Secrets is the name of my band. It's a fun band, and it's also the hardest thing to say with your Invisalign retainers in. I'm trying to come up with an easier, less S-heavy name. But yeah, we've got a record release show. My new album, Better Worse, comes out November 15th. But I'm going to be in Australia starting on Tuesday for 7.5 weeks.
Wow.
On tour. So I really wanted to do a record release show before I left, because I'll get home and it'll be Christmas, and then it'll be next year, and it was just, I'm too impatient. I just needed to get here. So we're doing it today.
That's fair. And is the Australian, New Zealand, is that a solo affair, or is that?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll just be on my own. My agent down there, her name is Andrea Kerwin. She runs Peace Run Records out of Nambour. on the East Coast, and her and her wife Claire have a great Fijian Australian folk duo, and then I'm touring down there with another artist, a duo called Those Folk, who are an Australian and an American who, I don't know where they met, but they met somewhere and they fell in love, and then they made a band, or maybe they have made a band and fell in love. I'm not totally sure. I'll let you know when I come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be solo, and lots of the shows I'll have them around as friends. But
Cool.
yeah,
That's how bands start. Be careful.
that's right. Yeah, I can't join any more bands. If you're watching this, I can't be in your band.
Let's back up a little bit. So I think I first became aware of you. I grew up in Tabor. As far as I know, you're Fort McLeod
Yep.
mainstay. And sophomore Jakes.
That's right. Yeah.
I kind of presume we're somewhat around the same age. And
Yeah,
so
I
that,
think so,
that
yeah.
pop punk thing, that that was the heyday of good emo music and good pop punk music. And
Truly.
and then, like most people in that vein, that age with music, now you got into folk music. Can you talk about how kind of that progression happened and your origin story?
Totally. Well, I grew up in a very folk-centric household, folk and bluegrass and blues and jazz and funk, and it was a very eclectic place to grow up and live in Fort McLeod, the vast metropolis. So when I found punk, it was kind of the reverse of how people do it, where they find punk and then they find folk, because it's the same chords and the same message. You just unplug it.
Yeah.
And so I had the folk thing as a kid as an appreciation, and then plugged it in when I learned to play music, and then unplugged it again. So, but yeah, sophomore was like, I spent 10 years in that band.
Wow.
We toured to Montreal and back, and made some really great memories and some really terrible decisions, but got to the end of it, and yeah, it was a good proving ground.
Nice. It's funny how punk and folk have that connection. Like I remember going back to Tabor and seeing a lot of my metalhead friends, and like I was a punk kid, but my metalhead friends, we were friends because we had to be in a small community. They were close enough to punk that we had enough crossover on the Venn diagram that we could be friends. But then when I went back to Tabor and caught up with some of these guys, now they're all bluegrass guys.
Oh yeah.
And it makes sense how metal and bluegrass.
100%. The folkies go metal.
Yeah.
No, the punks go folk, and then the metal guys go bluegrass. And I, in the same way as that I found punk through folk and then back to folk again. When I was never into metal in high school, and I got into bluegrass, and now I'm regressing back into metal because those through lines are two-way. I always loved black metal and stuff. Norwegian black metal was always a thing for me, but actual metal appreciation is taking me some time. But I'm there now.
Probably the same with me. I just due to my friend group, I had to have a certain level of appreciation, but it wasn't mine. It was more my tolerance for their interests, and it worked vice versa, and it was a good ecosystem. And yeah, like I said, they've helped me understand bluegrass a little bit more. And now I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my 38-year-old midlife crisis, but I'm appreciating metal for the first time on my own accord. It's fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to find later on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So walk me through from sophomore Jake, then kind of when you were on my radar, you were doing a lot of you were a side guy for Leroy Stagger, and I've seen you play with John Ward Hannum, and a number of people. Is that still part of the equation, or did that help lead you to kind of your diving in more with your solo project, or?
They've always been joined. I got into the whole side guy racket because I recorded my first solo folk record with Leroy Stagger as the producer, and so that was kind of the impetus for me getting into his band, and then the rest of the side guy stuff came from that. But I've always kind of had this kind of going. They both grew in tandem. There was a symbiosis to it. I have been doing less side guy stuff. I still play with Leroy and John, and and anybody who will hire me. But I'm busier with this now, so it's harder to do everything all the time.
I mean, that's probably a good thing when your own creative project takes shape and form, and you find an audience. And
yeah, absolutely.
So walk me through. Australia and New Zealand is not super common. Touring grounds, natural progression from a Western Canadian kid to you've done. This is multiple tours over there at this point. Walk me through kind of why that works for you. And
it works because I've found a really great community down there that has facilitated my, entrance into their neighborhood, so because it's so far away and not a ton of people go and tour there. I mean, lots of people go to the States or to Europe, and I like doing that too, and have done that before as well. But I think there's something about the style of music, and the folk thing is kind of having an upswing there, and just the fact that people don't go. It's showing up with this accent and a banjo, and people are like, "Oh, it's the real thing," and I'm like, "No, it's like 20 hours north of the real thing, but it's closer than you're used to."
Yeah.
So,
so walk me through. Is there any themes, or what can we expect from this new record? Tell us about the process.
The new record is it's all based around the super condition that anytime you make something better for someone or something, just the nature of the universe, you're going to make something worse somewhere else. We live in a world of finite resources and attention and resilience, and the world has been so wild its whole time, the whole time, from the beginning of the Big Bang to now. It's just one big entropic mess, and the record's really about, I think, that entropy and the fact that you make something better over here and it's going to get a little worse over there, or your better might, the exact same thing might be somebody else's worse. There is no such thing as an easy answer, and so everything in the record kind of unintentionally comes in pairs in that respect too. So
that feels like a healthy way to look at it.
I hope so. Yeah, I kind of came. A few of the songs came in one of my more vivacious mental health episodes. I've got some pretty good depressive tendencies from both sides of my parents, and attention deficit disorder, and so when I kind of crash down, it gets weird. But
it's a fertile breeding ground for songs and art and
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was watching a lot of John Oliver and reading a lot of Albert Camus, and it was just a real bad cocktail of of existence isn't anything, and also it's everything, and what are you going to do about it?
So a lot of people, a lot of musicians I knew, didn't necessarily make it out of COVID, but you seem to come out out the gate swinging and be busy, but seem to be finding at least from the outside, striking a balance with living a healthy lifestyle, and having from the outside it looks like you have it together, and you're striking a balance. How does that look from your perspective?
Well, first off, thank you for the nice compliment. I feel one of the main reasons that I've been able to come out of COVID and be able to come out swinging and strike a balance, and I have the most supportive partner on the planet. My wife is incredibly patient and supportive and sweet, and I get away with going to Australia for 7 weeks, and we're going to have a very long therapy-mediated talk about that when I come home in a good way, because we are very much still trying to find the balance of I was gone a lot this summer, and now I just came off the road last week, and now I'm off to Australia next week, and so there is a real the balance is ever in a balance and check, but I just can't not do it. not do this. And so, I mean, whether it's for money or for no money or in the basement or on the roof, I'll be noodling and playing.
Yeah,
And so
I get that. When I had my baby, I said I wasn't going to do any projects for a year, and I was just going to be present with the baby. And I made it 2 days, and my eyes start to twitch. And my wife was like, "What's wrong with you?" And it was like, I don't have a creative project on the go, and I've never had this before, and it doesn't feel right. And just like, oh, let's fix that. And I think it's super important to have, whether it's a partner or like somebody in your life that just can like tell you it's okay, and not shut down those early ideas when they don't need criticism from the outside world. They need like encouragement, and they need to bloom. There's no point in criticizing a song too deep when it's just getting started.
Totally.
You get to a certain point, and then it can be broken apart and dissected and
absolutely
critiqued.
Well, and there's so much of that creative process that requires a loose hand, because if you try to control it too much, you might restrict what it's going to organically become anyway. For people, I think, who have that creative tendency, I don't have kids. I have cats, so I can't speak to that. But I know I'm not as good to my cats when I haven't been able to let off that creative steam than when I have. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I get that absolutely. Well, it looks like the band is ready, and it's might be sound check time. And thanks so much for making the time and
thank you
being on the program.
Great fun.
Likewise.
And thanks for being weird in high school.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a whole nother podcast going into the depths of our childhood traumas.
Totally.
Why we listen to why we all like The Cure.
Yeah, that's right. And do we ever like The Cure?
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks, man. This is another one of those songs that I tried to write to be romantic, but it just came out as threatening. All good stuff. When they painted the street in the color of the day, 'cause all love is love, all the same. In the neighborhood, it was on parade. It was love in the time full of hate. But the fearful waited till the still of night, and with tar and with fire and paint, they tried to destroy what was built that day. But you can't stop
love that way. Will I love you if we're different? I love you if we are the same. And I love you if you love just the way that you are. And I love if you need to change. And to all of those government who would outlaw what can't be replaced. You can make up a law and you can give it a name, but you can't stop love that way. No, you can't stop love these days.
These live videos were filmed about 15 minutes before the doors opened to celebrate Ryland's album release party at the Geomattic Attic in Lethbridge, Alberta. We'd like to thank everyone involved for their hospitality, from the band to the sound person to the venue. Trying to pull something like this off in the middle of your album release sound check and concert is a logistical nightmare. And so thank you so much for allowing Weird in High School to sneak in there and get a digital footprint of this evening. The live music community in Lethbridge is a force to be reckoned with, and it was great to be able to document a brief moment at home for Ryland between tours, playing songs from the night's set list. Ryland's third record, which he is celebrating the release of in these videos, is called Better/Worse. Please check it out on your favorite streaming services, and don't be afraid to be in touch and check out tour dates with Ryland at www.rylandmoranz.com. That is www.rylandmoranz.com. Thanks for watching.